Hey, y'all, welcome to the Deep Dive, where Ian Boyd and I are going to get into the X's and O's and some of the film, the All 22 film of our opponent, Mississippi State. It's going to be a tough out in Starkville. Texas better come to play. But we're going to show you some of the things that they don't do very well and some of the things that they do pretty well and some potential strategies we can address it with. But first, you got to go to Inside Texas, join the best Longhorn conversation there is. For $1 American, you could join Inside Texas and be privy to the best discussion about Texas sports or even college football. Ian, any thoughts?
Survive and advance.
Survive and advance. That is the mantra for this football team. And let's advance and watch this film. All right. We've got Mississippi State versus Tennessee. They took Tennessee to overtime and lost by a touchdown in Starkville. So they're going to try to do the same to the real UT. Second quarter, 1st and 10, 4:19 on the clock, balls on the 25. I want you to show that we're not the only team in college football with some pass protection woes, Ian. Notice what happens here with this edge, who I think is a reasonable facsimile of the kind of edge pressure that we can bring, whether it's Colin Simmons, Trey Moore, Lance Jackson, Zena, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to notice that this guy is lined up inside Albert Reese, who is returning for them as a starter at right tackle. You're going to notice he's right inside of him, and he's just going to run around him. Nothing too complicated happening here, and they're in a light box. So here he goes. Bad step inside because he's worried about his own quickness, his ability to cut that guy off if he shoots the gap on the inside. See that overstep from the offensive tackle? And this guy is just going to swat him away and say, I'm going to go sack your quarterback. So really nice job here. And it shows what we're capable of doing against Mississippi State. They really do have problems protecting. And Albert Reese is their best offensive tackle now. Their other left tackle was lost to a season-ending injury. So we need to put Prince Albert in a can.
So there's a philosophical question that this raises for me. Technically, Mississippi State is run blocking here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an RPO, and Blake Shapen decides to throw. I don't know why he decided to throw because none of the linebackers are in the box. Pre-snap. Or really post-snap. So you can see the wide open space on top that he's trying to get to. There's like so much space there. There's even an open guy, sort of.
I think you can throw it right now. Now I think that linebacker might be his concern right there, right?
Yeah, that's probably why he hesitates.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why they didn't just run. But for Texas, do you just say, F your run game? We're going to send Colin Simmons at your quarterback or one of the edges at your quarterback every play, run containment responsibilities be damned. And we're going to put hits on Shapen and see if we can get negative plays that short circuit your offense. Because that's basically what Tennessee did here.
Yeah, that's not necessarily PK's vibe. Right. But I do think Tennessee, remember, they're a veer and shoot team at their core identity as well. So I think Heupel, no doubt, had some insights to share with his defensive staff about here are things that we struggle with, right?
Yeah.
But I think the key here is you really have to look at the overstep from the offensive lineman, that tackle, because he is run blocking, Ian. He doesn't want this guy to go sprint inside of him and tackle the running back if that's a handoff.
Yeah.
So you got to coach your guys on the outside to exploit that. Boom. That's a hard hit.
Shapen did not make it last year with this kind of stuff. And I've been surprised how long he's made it this year.
Well, fun fact about Blake Shapen, he has never completed a full college football season without an injury.
May still ring true for this year, huh?
Okay, we are back in the Tennessee game. And I want to show you Mississippi State running the ball on a down and distance that you wouldn't expect to run. Here it's 2nd and 18, 2:51 on the clock. Ball's on the 30. And they're going to run Fluff Bothwell on the perimeter for 15 yards. Ian, this is a very effective thing that Lebby does, and a lot of veer and shoot proponents actually do, which is we throw the ball deep on 1st and 10. Sometimes we run the ball when you don't expect it, and when we get a 5-man box, notice how this linebacker leaves when they go to trips. We're going to run the ball on a down and distance you wouldn't expect, and we're going to get almost all of that down, and they're going to get into a 3rd and manageable here. Albert Reese, the guy that we pointed out before, he's got an edge lined up outside of him. He does a decent job of collapsing that guy in. He loses the edge. He also holds here. It's uncalled, but he got away with it. So If the flag doesn't happen, it didn't happen, right? So you're going to watch Reese here. This edge has got good perimeter contained, but he's going to lose that as he goes inside. And you're going to see Albert cave him in. I will say about Mississippi State's O-line, they're not good, but they're very physical. You'll see 7 get cut off, the linebacker. And there we go, 16. Not a very good job coming up here in closing. I will say Fluff Bothwell, actually, very tough to tackle. This is something he did at South Alabama. It's something he's been doing at Mississippi State. He's got more side to side than you think looking at a 230-pound bowling ball. I don't think he's going to play in this game. We will see. But this is a good example of Mississippi State running the ball on a non-intuitive down and distance, which is something they do all the time. This might be one of the hidden keys to the game. The other part is it teaches you a lesson on the perimeter, whether it's your linebacker or that defensive end who ultimately has outside contain, and usually both do. You've really got to mind your knitting in that respect because they can catch you on these sort of perimeter runs.
I kind of wonder if Texas plays them like they did last year and plays them too deep, gives them some 5-man boxes and says, Mississippi State, do this for the entire game. Maybe you'll sit on the ball all day like Kentucky, but I bet you also only score like 10 points like Kentucky, and we'll find a way to outscore you.
Yeah, I mean, that is PK's predilection.
Yeah.
I think there were some instances where we not only had 5-man boxes, but we had a 4-man box a couple of times that kind of drove me crazy. I mean, that's kind of just nuts. But
yeah, in this game last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you want a winning game plan. But in terms of our chance for total team victory, which is also what you want to coach to, I don't know if denying our offensive possessions is going to be good because our offense has a good chance of not doing much with their possessions. And maybe the more we get, we can do something with. Maybe we decide to run outside zone like crazy people.
Flip side, the more Mississippi State has the ball, Paul, the less we have to watch Texas play offense.
That's a very good counterpoint. And on that excellent point, we're going to move on to the next clip. All right. We want to show you what the veer and shoot, and of course, Jeff Lebby is known for. Deep balls. Ian, if you decide that you're going to play the run, you get tired of the nickel and diming, they're going downtown, and they do here against Florida. Fourth quarter, 1st and 10, 13:29 on the clock. Mississippi State almost wins this game with plays like this. They hit Florida very early in this game with a very similar concept. You're going to see this safety retreating. He's supposed to have that post, but he is going to get beat. He's also going to fall down as he's trying to recover. This corner never had a chance when he tries to turn and run with Brennan Thompson on the top of the screen. You're going to see the safety fall down. It was also immaterial to the play. He was already beaten. He should have been giving depth and retreating. I'm sure Blake Shapen and Mississippi State were licking their chops the minute Brennan Thompson is about right there. That guy's not getting there. He should have been giving ground. He should have been retreating at an angle. He didn't. Falls on the ground. The corner doesn't have a chance. It's not a perfectly thrown ball. Otherwise, it would have been a touchdown. But Brennan Thompson makes a nice little sliding baseball catch. But you're going to notice him here isolated up on the top. Ian, any thoughts on this?
I had a couple thoughts. One is that Florida usually does not play this coverage as much, and they don't look as comfortable in it. Like this just lousy footwork by that safety. Hopefully Texas would be better when they do similar things. They better be, because like the one thing in this game that you have to be sure of as Texas is don't let Brennan Thompson beat you deep. That's the easiest way to lose this game, right? Secondly, I guess Shapen gets hit on the throw, but it looks like this may be a decent indicator of his effective range throwing it.
Oh, yeah, he gets drilled.
At least from he doesn't totally step into it, so it's hard to say. But he gets this one about 50 yards downfield. And so that's, if you know the range, it's a useful thing to tell the safeties. Like, you need to be in position to defend because this ball is well short, right?
Yeah. But he doesn't get absolutely blown up. So.
He does get blown up, so it's hard to know if this is
I'm not sure I can fault him for a mostly arm throw here.
Yeah.
But he gets there. I mean, the point is that was wide open. And our safeties, particularly minus Michael Taff and his experience and his ability to disguise, they have really, really got to be sure not to let guys get behind them. we can live with Mississippi State catching a 14-yard hitch. We can't live with 61-yard touchdowns over the top. Points are precious with the Texas Longhorns this year. And we're not going to win a shootout with anybody, much less maybe even a game in the high 20s, to tell you the truth.
Deep safety needs to get deep, and safety to Thompson's side needs to mind his P's and Q's.
One thing I also want to point out here, Ian, again, I talked about Mississippi State likes to go against type and tendency and the sort of lazy things that defensive coordinators and frankly defenses will think, which is 1st and 10 midfield, they're going to run the ball, right? Well, we're going to walk up, we're in a 6-man box. Now we're going deep on 1st and 10. 2nd and 18, we're handing it off because you have a light box. A lot of it is simply like, whatever you do, we're going to stick to what we do that we think breeds success against your look. And sometimes it's just a box count. It's as simple as that. So you're looking at a lot of different stuff going on here, but it looks to me like Jeff Lebby knew exactly what defense he was expecting here. Shapen only looks one place.
Yep. That's throw is usually there versus too high, because the safety will often be they don't give a lot of post help from the safeties in their normal quarters defense. You can get one-on-ones. What Lebby didn't know was that the other safety would fall down while trying to get there.
Yeah, and as we said, irrelevant to the play. I mean,
yeah, he's
once he got the wrong depth angle and he allowed Brennan to get behind him, the falling down was just the extra sauce on that. So obviously Mississippi State, from this tree, they're going to run a lot of stacks. They're going to do pick plays, but really they've got about 4 routes that they like to run over and over, and they just get good at them. And they get good at recognition against different defenses.
One other thing on Thompson is that he's like my size, right? He's a small guy. They have him pressed technically, and he
don't put their hands on him.
They don't put their hands on him.
Drives me insane.
Texas should try jamming him if they have guys that they're confident in doing that.
Oof.
Otherwise, you're going to want to just bail and keep on top of him and wait for his route to declare before you really bite down on anything.
So I don't know if you remember this, but in 2021, PK got into a really bad habit of this coverage in which we would squat but not press. And we wouldn't bail, because there's another form of this is which you show press coverage, but you bail right at the snap. You turn and run right as the corner. Yeah. We were just squatting and watching, and we wouldn't get a hand on him, but we'd also lose the depth of bailing. To me, this is Mr. In-Between. I hate this coverage. It's almost as bad for me as slide protection on the offensive line, Ian. That's how much I hate it. All right. Well, I think we said our piece here. We showed you Mississippi State's problems, which is protecting the passer. We've showed you what they like to do in the run game, and we showed you how they hit these deep balls and how they dial them up confidently. Here's the truth. I think I can speak confidently for Ian here. We respect Jeff Lebby as an offensive mind. And the game plan that he came up for us in 2023 at OU against PK, he got into PK's head, and he did a hell of a job against us. That was a really good job, and I think he's a guy that obviously is doing good things. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, they're 4-3. They've already exceeded their win total that Vegas projected them for the year. So this team is overachieving, and beating Texas in Starkville would be a real feather in their cap. Hey, folks, I'll keep this message for our friend Gabe Winslow short and sweet. If you have a current interest rate at 6.5% or higher, give him a call at 832-557-1095. And there is a very, very high probability that he can refi you for free. Gratis. De nada. For absolute free. Nothing. Give him a call. Find out how he can do it. It's not a bunch of nonsense and smoke and mirrors. It's legit. And a bunch of people have done it and raved about the fact that they have a lower payment. They've got a better rate and things are going awesome. Give him a call. 832-557-1095. And also, if you're just looking for a house, and you need the best damn mortgage guy in the state of Texas behind you on your team, fighting for the best possible rate, Gabe is the guy you call. 20 years in the industry. He's got a law school degree. This guy is the man. Give him a call. 832-557-1095.
All right, Paul, we've got some clips for the Mississippi State defense now as well. This one is against Florida. 1st and 10 first play of the second quarter, 15 minutes on the clock. They're going to play basically the style of defense that Vanderbilt stymied Sark with last year, and that Kentucky and Florida both employed to crush Texas this year, where you bring a fourth pass rusher from different places of the field. You drop into match cover 3 behind it. And in particular, they're going to fire the nickel and bring him on that wide loop inside to where your interior offensive line has to see him coming, trade off whatever they're doing effectively, and pick him up. Florida does not do that very well. They do a better job of it probably than Texas will. Miraculously for Florida, DJ Lagway spins out of the pressure and hits the only guy on the entire field who's open, who happens to be the guy that he rolled to mostly by accident, I would say. And this is a big positive gain for Florida. But everything on the field is erased. And this is something to watch out for against Texas unless Arch Manning pulls similar rabbits out of his hat.
And you'll notice he's only open because of a pick.
Yes.
Boom. And I mean, the guy knows he's picking him. Look at his body language and how that is as deliberate, and he puts a shoulder into him and then pretends I'm running a route. So, Florida got lucky here, but we wanted to show you was that interior pressure. Look, the film is out on Texas and our offensive line. Yep. We're going to continue to see these pressures over and over. Defenses are bullies, and they will keep doing things and do them more intensely when you show you can't handle it. If we hit a couple of outside zone runs, we seam and gap these guys, right, who are playing these little line games, or we hit some hot routes, they'll stop doing it. They'll have to call off the dogs. But until we punish a defense for doing this stuff, they are going to double down, triple down, and quadruple down.
Also, that nickel is 220 pounds.
And he can redirect, right?
Yes. They have some forceful blitzers in their concept. So this is dangerous. This is a big red warning sign for Texas this week. They cover well behind the pressure. Secondary is actually good, and they blitz well. They do have one weakness that's very glaring that we'll get to in our next clip.
Yeah, the one thing to know about Mississippi State, if you look at the metrics, not a good pass rushing defense at all. You know who else wasn't a good pass rushing defense?
Kentucky.
Florida and Kentucky.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter when you play Texas. Texas, if you throw out our G5 opponents, and our G5 opponents, by the way, are 4-17 right now.
Yeah.
If you only look at the P4, the Texas offensive line has surrendered the most pressures of any P4 school in college football.
All right, next play. Also the second quarter, a little later. 1st and 10, 7:40 left before the half. On the 40-yard line. Woo, there he goes. Jaden Baugh is going to score a touchdown. We had an idea, Paul, in the group chat for Jaden Baugh to quietly transfer out of Florida, reemerge on the Texas roster as Jalen Claw, a walk-on that we found just in Gregory Gym, dominating on the hoop on the hardwood. Anyway, even though we don't have Jalen Claw off the scout team this week, Texas could run outside zone. And Paul, explain to everyone, maybe with the end zone cam, thank you, why it is that outside zone gives Texas a chance against a blitzing team from a 3-down like Mississippi State.
So Mississippi State's going to stunt here. You see both backers come. Well, they get washed out because in outside zone, all this guy's going to do, Jaden Baugh, is take a couple lateral steps. He sees green. He realizes the linebackers have vacated. I'm going north-south. I'm getting my pads turned, and I'm running. So this punishes this sort of overplay, right? The problem is we did that against OU and then abandoned it completely against Kentucky. And so they were able to do this stuff with impunity. The other way, of course, you punish this is in the passing game, hitting hot routes, hitting the vacated spot. One of the common truisms of football is when someone blitzes, run a receiver to the spot they blitz and have him turn around because it's vacated. And it's not accounted for in the defense. So this is something we can do. And I'm saying that our offensive line can do it. And you're going to say, our offensive line's terrible. I'm telling you that our offensive line at a moderate level of success can do this sort of zone blocking. And that's the kind of read that Trey Wisner can make. Wisner, frankly, is not half the back that Baugh is, but what Wisner is good at is exactly this sort of recognition.
Yeah, he has good vision on these. Yeah. Texas also does not have this center. Look at the reach block this center makes on that linebacker.
Yeah, and turns him and seals him.
And seals him. Everybody is sealed. Everybody is
sealed. Center, obviously a lot of focus and attention has been paid to left guard. And Nick Brooks is doing his best there now after several guys who've been in the program for a while failed.
Yeah.
But it's overlooking the fact that center has been almost as big a weakness as left guard. So people who have these sort of glib, like, well, start Connor Robertson and put Cole Hudson at left guard. You're just shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic there, I'm afraid.
Yeah. They just don't have enough good offensive linemen this year, at least to do what they've been trying to do.
All right. We've shared our scout of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Ian, are we going to put in some of the tactics that we think can help this offense? Are we going to run zone? Are we going to do outside zone? Are we going to have some hot routes for Arch? What do you think?
Maybe. I think probably. I think Sark is at the point now where he's like, I think he thought maybe after the Oklahoma win they could build on it and get back to some of what his agenda. And I think now he's like, nope, I can't do that.
Yeah, I think Steve Sarkisian is going to realize he needs to coach the team he has and not the team he wants.
Yeah.
We'll see. On that happy note, thank you for watching the deep dive, and we'll see you guys after Starkville.